potential speculations. Now, I always feel a bit mean asking Derek the Top Hat for any type of speculation because he's sort of in the know. He sort of gets those little tidbits, and I always feel a bit mean asking because I'm just going to ask anyway. Let's start with Derek this time. We'll go in reverse and make Ryan go last this time. So, roadmap for July speculation, Derek. What do you think, or what can you what's the word I'm looking for? What can you tease people with, if you know anything, that is?
Yeah, it's well, I think this year already we've obviously had quite a bit of home computers now, haven't we? We've had the Amiga and the C64. I don't think we'll see any more home computers till later in the year. I think that's one we can perhaps rule out. Arcade, again, it's been quite arcade heavy, I think, of recent months, what with the IMREN, both the tow plans, etc. So, again, I don't think arcade's the route it's going to go down. I think the next two carts, perhaps we'll see a dual cart. Yeah,
Cart.
Yeah, perhaps we'll see a dual cart, and perhaps we'll see another red cart. Maybe something like Atari Lynx 3, perhaps.
Okay, yeah, Atari Lynx 3. A lot of people, because I never had a Lynx as a kid, so the Atari Lynx collection is something that it's still something I don't own, and I really feel that that's a collection that I would really get a kick out of because I don't actually know many games on the Atari Lynx at all. I think I played Batman Returns on the Lynx.
Yeah,
once.
That's
good. So I don't actually know many Lynx games, but they seem to be incredibly popular. Those Lynx 1 and 2 carts they do seem to be very, very popular with people.
Yeah, I mean, the FX one, obviously, everybody remembers those games with, Californian Games and Chips Challenge. And then obviously we've got the other one, which is Songbird Pro, who still continue to produce Atari Lynx games and acquire old licenses and things like that. So, that's always interesting. I think if we do see a third collection, much as I'd like to see it packed full of things like Clacks and some of my other favorites, I think this one would be more newer Atari Lynx games. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. So people will need to go back over what you've said and analyze it and see whether or not there's like what are they called when you're there's something like a micro something when your face does something, when you're saying something that might be true. So people are going to go back over that and think, right, is it going to be, is that dual cartridge a thing? Is that the Zack Snyder element where you sort of put something sneaky in there and people are going to dissect it? That's a cool idea, though. I like that idea as a dual cart. Before we dive on to Blunners and Ryan, what would make a good dual cart? I'm just throwing that out
really strong games. I think there's got to be two really strong games, like really strong.
Two slightly bigger games, maybe.
Yeah,
that would take up maybe more room.
And things like that you wouldn't mind paying for. Do you know what I mean? If it's two, you said it does play PlayStation 1s, just for example, like your Resi 1. I'm not saying you're going to get that, but that kind of quality on a car, then people wouldn't mind paying it.
Oh, that's got me thinking. We might have to come back every now and then. If someone comes up with and even in the chat, if people have got some interesting ideas for a dual cartridge. Ooh, Derek.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Is Resident Evil, is that owned by Capcom now?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it's always been Capcom.
So that is, so that is a possibility then, isn't it? The fact we've got Capcom. So, Blunners, you saying, but obviously Blaze are in contact or communication with Capcom, so maybe something like that isn't impossible.
Amazing. Can you imagine that? Back to them old loading stores. I think.
Just being able to play something like Resi 1 and Resi 2, specifically Resi 2, but being able to play that on the go on that lovely screen. Ah, man, it's happened, hasn't it? We're going into the realms of what
Fantasia,
we really like. Yeah,
it's a good one.
Oh, Daub's coming in there with plumbers don't wear ties. He always brings that one up, doesn't he? He always brings up plumbers don't wear ties.
Ridge racers. Ridge Racer's another good one. Need for Speed
Yeah.
one.
Yep. I've starred a couple. So before we jump in with Blunners there, so Obsolete Worlds came in with a Game Gear one.
Yeah.
That I quite like the idea of. That could be kind of cool because I'm sure there's plenty of little gems on the Game Gear that never saw the light of day or didn't get the attention they deserved. So, yeah, Game Gear is a possibility. Another one of Dorbs' favourites there, the CD32. That's why he keeps bringing up plumbers don't wear ties, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And I like Goldtooth's suggestion here as well, a Hudson cart.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking earlier. I'd love that.
That would be very interesting. Just sort of looking at some of the games on that Hudson would have produced.
Super Bomberman.
Yes, of course they did. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, being able to see Super Bomberman would be good. That would be fantastic.
And you've got the whole like you've got here, GBA collection. I know it's Nintendo today, but yeah, like you said, with the eShop closing.
Yeah, loads of things, and then that, yeah, like Dave Lister said, there, Ridge Racer one and Need for Speed one as well. Interesting. So, Mr. Blunners, any speculations or suggestions what could be for the July roadmap?
I personally think it might be like another studio, but then you just start thinking about what you would want. But like we've just been doing, like I was thinking, like a Hudson one would be amazing, or like a dual, like I think you were saying with a dual cart, some of them Capcom games that they've got on there. So yeah, I would love a real 2 strong Capcom games. With this dual cart, I think would be amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Anything in particular that you think you would really like to see on that?
Well, like what I said earlier, really. I would love to see something as strong as a Resi 1, like that kind of level, which I know was, how many discs was it back in the day? Was it 2 or 3? Does anyone remember?
I think the first Resi was 1, but Resident Evil 2 is 2 discs.
Sorry, I'm thinking 2.
Yeah,
but yeah,
Resi 2.
They should be able to get all that on one cart. Yeah.
Exciting. Okay. Mr. Ryan, any suggestions or speculations for roadmap?
No speculation. I'm kind of where Sir Top and Hat is. I think we might see another Atari Lynx collection. I remember Andrew Byer, the CEO of Blaze or owner of Blaze. He's a big Atari Lynx fan, and I remember reading that. It was either in Retro Gamer magazine or in the Evercade magazine. So yeah, I could definitely see another Lynx collection. Personally, I'd like to see another Namco collection, so we get Namco 3. Whether that's possible or not, I no idea. But to have some PlayStation 1 games on there, like Ridge Racer Revolution, I think they had Air Combat, something like that, like an aeroplane game. It wasn't the greatest PS1 game, but it was one of the early PlayStation 1 games. So yeah, I'd like to see a collection like that. Whether we'll get Namco again, I really don't know. I can tell you what I don't want to see. I don't want to see Intellivision 3. Yeah, that's one that I really don't want to see. Yeah, hopefully Intellivision is done now. I really don't want to see any more Intellivision.
Be a Miko, mate, right?
Yeah, well, funny you should say that. Those games, and I don't like mentioning that word because it brings the hate. But those games have been, well, allegedly have been made, haven't they? And yeah, so why it doesn't need to be called the Amico collection? It could be called whoever the developer is of that game and put them on a collection, because some of those games didn't look too bad, like that Fox game. Finnegan Fox, is it?
Finnegan Fox.
Yeah.
Look quite a nice game. If it's been made, it's ready to go. Why don't
Shark
acquire it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a large fan of the Earthworm Jim that was coming.
Yes.
Having looked into it a little bit, the controls need to be changed so they would work on Evercade. But provided the controls were changed, at the moment they've got nowhere to license that too. So yeah, I don't see why we couldn't see that in the future.
Mm-hmm.
There's also something about a use of a mic on there on that game, and I don't know if that's something that would port over to the Evercade, but that would be brilliant. If it did.
Yeah. Again, it would be a good idea, but if they couldn't and they had to remove it, I think graphically
Brilliant.
it fits in with the Earthworm Jim world, and it would be really good for fans.
Ooh.
Be an exclusive for us, wouldn't it?
That'd be
would.
brilliant, yeah.
That would be good, especially if there was stuff already sort of in the working. Sort of like Ryan says, why would you not pass up the opportunity to sort of release it, get it in people's hands, especially with all the sort of negativity that kind of comes with that word. Like, you can't even say the word Amico without it sort of just, you immediately sort of get a bit itchy and like,
It's a shame because it is a good concept, but yeah, it is. Just don't mention it.
Yeah, it's like Voldemort, isn't it? We shan't mention it. The console that shall not be named. So for me, I don't think I've said this on a stream before, but I've definitely heard people talk about this on a stream before. So it's not a completely original idea for me, but it is something I would really quite like to see. And given that we've just seen the Amiga collection come from, what was the developer of the Amiga one?
Yep, Team 17.
Team 17.
Yeah.
I don't think this is out. My suggestion is going to be out of the realms of possibility. I would like an Ocean cart. I'm just having a look to see some of the other games that Ocean owned. But the big one for me is Cool World. Try and pick up a copy of Cool World on the Super Nintendo for under £100. It's just never going to happen. It's not an overly amazing game, but I just remember graphically at the time it blew my mind because it just looked like the animation. And then also Ocean have got things like Fighter's Destiny, which I really enjoyed on the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
There was something else I saw a moment ago. Things like Super Turrican 2. But then of course all of the licensed games that they had, which I think would probably prove maybe a bit difficult to get things, would be things like Addams Family, the Batman games. Cool World, of course, is one. I'm just going to click on which Flintstones. Oh man, it's the Super Nintendo Flintstones game as well. That's an Ocean game. Man, that would be cool because again, that is a really expensive game, and again, it's not an overly brilliant game, but it's just one of those games that would be in my Liam's Love to Hate from our other streams. The games that you just know aren't great, but you just enjoy the hell out of them. So for me, I would love to see something like an Ocean cart. It's less speculation that and more what I would love to see. But I think some of the suggestions that have been made already are probably more likely. I think mine and Blunners are pipe dreams, but not out of the realms of possibility. This, a couple of years ago when we were talking, or people would talk about what they would want to see on Evercade, and here we are a couple of years later with a Capcom collection. So anything is possible. So yeah, let's see where we go from there. Oh yes, Dan putting in there best Ocean game, Robocop. Robocop was a good game.
Yeah.
And yeah, Ocean is 98% movie license games. It is, but they weren't LGN, so they actually made some half decent games. Okie dokie.